We are 2 weeks into the new year, which means you've probably failed at your New Year's resolution, but a lot of soccer clubs are looking to fulfill theirs with the January transfer window. A lot of moves have already been made, and we will fill you in on those moves so far, the FA Cup results from the weekend, and a massively huge derby week in the Premier League. Grab your scarves. The supporter section begins right now. Welcome into the supporter section. I am Cole Carter. I am joined alongside Brandon Pasek and Stephen Curl. Gentlemen, it's good to see you guys. We're almost halfway through January already. We had a massive sports week here in the U.S. with the national championship in college football. Georgia, hello, let's go. But Brandon, let's talk about you for a second. How's your New Year's been so far?
This weekend, I finally was able to settle down, basically clean out my calendar, clean my whole apartment. I am ready for the new year. 2023 is going to be great, guys. It's going to be very, very great. What about you, Steve?
Well, everything was starting off great until Gareth Bale announced his retirement from club football. So I did like any sane person would do. I went on FIFA before they took him out of the game, and I started 6 careers with Gareth Bale. So he will live on forever. No, it's a sad day, but and another, as I've been holding my Josef statue at the beginning of the past couple episodes, is rumored to go to Inter Miami as well. So I don't know, it's fine. New Year's is fine, but my soccer fandom, I'm a little down on my luck right now.
Man, I got my Gareth Bale jersey. He's on the back here. I can't quite show you right now, but I am equally as sad. My favorite player, honestly, growing up, when I started watching soccer seriously in 2011, I picked Tottenham as my team, and there was a sweet left-footed winger coming out from the back, and I miss him being a Tottenham shirt, and I will miss him just playing in the game in general. What a treat he was to see him play for Wales in the World Cup, at the Euros, and obviously Real Madrid, his glorious goal, especially that bicycle kick in the Champions League final, one that none of us will ever forget. My goodness gracious. But we're going to get our first segment started on the day. Brandon, I'm going to begin with you. This is our transfer window for January so far. Give us a rundown of the confirmed moves so far, beginning with Chelsea.
Yeah, we have the answers for your transfers here in this segment. We have to start with Chelsea because they've made, as of right now, 5 signings. So that's pretty crazy. I'll run through them real quick. Fofana, he's a 20-year-old center forward from Molde. Badiashile from Monaco. I know I butchered that one. For a lot of money, 37 million euros. Andre Santos, 18 years old, center midfielder, for 20 million euros from Vasco da Gama. And then the one we've sort of been wondering about what's going to happen with this guy, João Felix, 23-year-old. What is he? The fifth most expensive transfer ever, something like that. For 11 million euros. This is a loan fee, by the way. This is not a transfer fee. This is a loan fee. 11 million euros with 100% salary covered by Chelsea. I don't know if that's a good deal or a bad deal. I guess we can get into it. But also something interesting to note about João Felix is that before leaving Atleti for Chelsea, he will be extending his contract at Atletico Madrid until 2027. I don't know how that makes any sense. Tying him down to a longer deal, I guess. Good for Atletico Madrid. And then Christopher Nkunku from Leipzig signed. He'll be joining in July, so in the summer. But Chelsea did pay over 60 million euros for him. So that's a lot of transfers there. I'll throw this one to Steven. What is Chelsea's current transfer strategy with all of these guys? This is January, remember. They spent close to 300 million or over 300 million on players just in the summer. they're going to be spending a lot, obviously, now in January, which doesn't really happen all that often. Like, what is their strategy?
Strategy is score more goals, win game, rather than addressing the current needs like the midfield or strengthening the defense as well. I think it's just telling, like even looking back at this last Chelsea game where Koulibaly gives away a PK in the box by some just straight up just awful defending. I saw a tweet that was pretty funny about why couldn't Koulibaly just staying in Serie A where we all thought he was the elite defender. That he's not. Yeah, Chelsea just keeps going for these high transfer targets that are cost a lot of money, and then Ziyech finds himself on the bench, and it just doesn't make any sense. And you get Timo. It's all of these guys. Such a long list of failed Chelsea transfers, specifically in the final third of the pitch, in wingers and forwards and stuff like that. That I don't know to answer your question about what their transfer strategy is. Maybe cast a wide net. One of these guys will stick, but it's really tough, honestly. And you're still talking about guys like Mo Salah and Kevin De Bruyne that didn't fit into this side as well. So it's just kind of rinse repeat, revolving doors. They don't really give guys that much time either. So Chelsea's transfer strategy, I think, is just flexing that they have a lot of money.
Yeah, it's just spending money. That's their strategy. I mean, it's tough. We talked about this the last podcast of where they literally just have had a full starting 11 worth of injuries. But I mean, some of these moves are supposed to be some long-term ones. Having Fofana, Badiashile, Santos, obviously bringing in João Felix. That's sort of the band-aid of the group. If he comes in for this season and can get some production, you have injuries to Pulisic. Ziyech has been this question mark for whatever reason with Chelsea. He hasn't broken that starting 11 like he probably would anywhere else. So yeah, it's just spend a lot of money, and like you said, Steven, hope something sticks. Todd Boehly has obviously been confronted with a lot of question marks regarding his actual credibility being a soccer owner. He's done it with baseball with the Dodgers. He's been involved with those teams, but it's a different thing in Europe when it comes to these teams. They're run differently, and yeah, we're finding out very quickly what might happen to Chelsea in the short term with the new American ownership.
I want to say something really quick too, is also the revolving doors of managers, I think, is another huge problem when it comes to these transfers. Even mentioning the name Christian Pulisic, it was sorry that I'm getting confused of what manager was even in charge when the transfer went through. But I believe it was sorry that afterwards said he wasn't my player that I signed. Like, you also have a very real situation where Chelsea spends $60 million on a player in Pulisic, and the next manager says, yeah, well, I didn't really sign him. So like, that's just also you need to find consistency at the manager position. And Chelsea has the opportunity to have 3 different managers this year after a 4-0 loss to City. We'll get into that a little bit later, but yeah, pressure is always on, it feels like, as a Chelsea manager.
Well, just making the quick point, I mean, that's just the problem with so many teams in Europe, is that these revolving doors of managers coming in and out, then you run into these problems where there's no consistency. There is no continuity between managers. The coaches are supposed to bring in their whole new system. Well, how does that fit in with such and such player and that player? So it is crazy, and that's just why we're seeing such an influx of money being spent, is because these coaches are being kicked out for losing 7 games, and then there's 31 to go in the season. So yeah, it's just crazy. That's why we see so much turnover and so much, I don't know, trouble within fan groups of, well, this player was great under him, but now under this guy, he's not doing the same. But Brandon, you want to continue the line of what's next?
Yeah, well, sticking with Chelsea, and we can talk more about Todd Boehly and Graham Potter later when we get into the Man City game, because I think it's definitely something that we need to talk about. It's interesting what direction are they going to go in next. But as far as their transfer strategy goes, it's sort of always been similar. I was just thinking about it. It's like they buy great young talent around like 18 to 21, throw them out on a loan somewhere if they're not like good enough to start or be in the first 15 players every week, and hopefully they can come back and make a difference. But a lot of those guys just stick out on loan and then get sold for a bigger fee than they were bought for. I don't know if Todd Bowley's going to continue that. But speaking of Steve, bad transfers, I have a quiz for both of you, and I will start with Cole on this one. But according to Sky Sports, Chelsea have spent £319.4 million on forwards since the summer of 2020. Just forwards. Can you name all of them? And I guess you guys can try to name them together. This is all there are 7 of them, and it's not including the new loan Zhao or Christopher Nkunku, who's coming in the summer.
Forwards.
Timo Werner, Lukaku, Broja, Giroud.
I'm gonna go and say
Tammy,
Morata.
technically? And yeah, Murata? I don't know.
You had Timo Werner, Romelu Lukaku, right?
On forwards. Oh wait,
3
on-
players are
We
current.
counting
4 players
Kai
are currently on the
Kai
team.
Havertz count?
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Does Kai Havertz
Havertz,
okay.
Ziyech, Pulisic.
Pulisic was 19, I think.
So you have Ziyech, Timo Werner,
What are we
Kai
at now?
Havertz, Lukaku. You have 3 more. And I'll give you one of them. It's Fofana that they just signed. I don't know why they included it, but that's 5.
Aubameyang.
6. Last one.
Aubameyang.
On the team still.
Forward.
You know it. You know it. Just transferred
Oh my god.
this year? This summer?
Oh my god. This is embarrassing.
Plays
I
on the
don't know.
wing. He just got hurt.
Oh, Raheem Sterling.
Oh my
That is
god.
all
Yeah. Wow.
7 of them. So now another question. Thinking of that list that we just went over, which one was the highest fee, and can you remember for how much?
I feel like it was Lukaku for 100 mil, right?
That's my
Ye-
guess.
Yes, that's basically right. It says
Yeah.
here Lukaku, 97.5 million pounds, basically 100 million. That's
And
awful,
he's not
people.
even playing right now for Inter. Even on
No,
his
he's
loan
not.
now with Inter, he's still not
He's
playing.
loaned. He's still on the books, I think, at Chelsea. So that's a weird. Chelsea's a weird place. We'll keep moving on because we're spending too much time there. Cody Gakpo, I think we've already talked about, lands at Liverpool finally.
Crazy.
Yeah, I think he'll be really good there. He might. I wonder if he'll start this week. I don't know. Could play a big role.
But
Southampton.
did they need him?
They needed something. With a couple injuries on their team as well, I think he'll play a big role. So I want to stick at Southampton real quick. Mislav Orsic, 30 years old, left winger. They signed him for £8 million from Dynamo Zagreb. Pretty good signing. And they sign a center midfielder from Racing for 14 million euros, which is a lot. Racing also have a 15% sell-on clause after that. Southampton obviously need a lot of help, right? They are at the bottom of the table on 12 points. They've lost the last 6 games. Are these 2 guys going to be the difference makers to pull them out of that? Like, what do you think Southampton is going to do the rest of the season, basically?
Nothing.
Steve, Cole, one of you.
I don't think there's a way out for this team. I mean, you look at West Ham. West Ham, I think we've said before, they're too good, I think. They're in 17th. You have Everton and Wolves above Southampton. Bournemouth still could fall down into the relegation zone. I think Everton's probably the most likely team to escape relegation. Nottingham Forest and Leeds are pretty safe. They're up at 17 points. I mean, it's pretty close, within 3 points of the relegation point, but like, I just don't see them falling back into the championship. So yeah, Southampton are screwed in my book. I don't think there's really anything that they could do. The best thing that they could do right now or maybe in the summer is to offload James Ward-Prowse and make some money before they go down to the championship?
I have a slightly more optimistic approach. I think the bottom. I think it's really just it's up in the air who's getting relegated this year. Like nobody at that bottom of the table really looks good. It's like Leeds could go down, Everton could go down, Wolves could go down. Like all of these teams could go down, and you also got West Ham could go down. Sure, like no one's safe. Like Bournemouth, like you said, Nottingham Forest, all of these teams could go down. So it's maybe them making these moves does do something. And I think it's more of a factor of less of what Southampton do and maybe what other teams don't do. Again, like a lot of these teams don't look good. Like Everton does not look good. I mean, if West Ham doesn't right the ship, maybe they fire David Moyes and the replacement's worse. Maybe Lampard loses his job and it just goes downhill from there. You just don't know. So I won't say there's no hope. I'm not saying it looks amazing. I think they've lost literally their last 5 games. But they play Bournemouth in this game coming up this weekend, and 3 points puts them, I think, safe. Puts them at 15 points, which is level on West Ham in 17th right now, so it could put them safe potentially. So you just don't know. One win and maybe a fluke result like you see Everton get one against Manchester City, then you got some energy in that locker room. So this is why we love the Prem. I'm going to stick by predictions beginning of the season. This is going to be the best season ever. You just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so keep your chin up. James Ward-Prowse, score some more free kick goals, deliver some more good set pieces, and maybe someone will put him away.
Yeah, and I think we were going to get into this a little later in the rumors section of the transfers, but I think I can just say it now. Southampton have approached Manchester City on hiring their highly rated academy director, Jason Wilcox, as their new director of football. Wilcox obviously put out Foden, Sancho, a bunch of other young guys that are currently out on loan for Manchester City, but that are coming through and highly rated. Southampton, again, has always been that team that has great youth, and they develop them and sell them on for a bigger fee. I think that's a great move for Southampton if they can get that across the line. And Jason Wilcox, that might be, honestly, their hope for this year. He'll have a massive role to play in Southampton this season. I want to quickly wrap up here. Bayern Munich signed Daley Blind on a free from Ajax, sort of weird, 32-year-old left back, but he had a great World Cup. Bayern Munich, what are you doing? But if he fills a role on your team, you probably coast to another Bundesliga title. Atletico Madrid, this is a fun one. Antoine Griezmann, one of our guys that we highlighted the whole World Cup, one of our favorite dudes. 31 years old at this point, but for 20 million euros, he finally gets the transfer from Barcelona to Atletico Madrid. Thank God he can finally play games at will and however he wants to. That's amazing. Lyon signed Dejan Lovren. We also highlighted him in our World Cup episodes. 33-year-old center back, used to be at Liverpool. They signed him for in a range of 2 to 9 million euros. I couldn't get an exact number from Zenit. So
It's a big gap.
yeah, it's a pretty big gap, but probably worth it, I'd say. I mean, he's still good. Maybe not good enough for the Premier League anymore, but definitely has some legs on him. So that'll be exciting. Do either of you want to stop on the Atlanta United train or any of the MLS transfers?
I can give a quick little rundown. We have the younger brother of Brendan Aronson, Paxton. He's 19 years old, attacking midfielder. He was just signed to Frankfurt for $4 million from Philadelphia Union. Again, we're seeing young Americans sent abroad. Hopefully we can continue to see him develop much like his brother has with Leeds and see him potentially on the U.S. men's national team with his brother. Aaron Long on a free from New York Red Bulls to LAFC, the MLS Cup champions. Charlotte FC, they just got Ashley Westwood on a free from Burnley. He's 32. He'll play a little bit of defensive midfield for them. And Atlanta United, our hometown club, has had a slew of moves, loaning Marcelino Moreno, the midfielder, to Cordoba FC. I believe that's in Brazil. Alan Franco also goes down to Brazil with Sao Paulo. Emerson Hyman has had his contract terminated. Dom Dwyer goes to be a free agent, and Tyler Wolff comes back from Europe, back to Atlanta United as a probably depth move for them. And then back abroad, Club Brugge, they actually just signed a new manager. a guy that we're familiar with from Bournemouth and the Cherry, Scott Parker, becomes the new coach, and now he gets the chance, as they're still in the Champions League, they advanced on, will get the chance to coach this season with them, which, Brandon, is that a good move for them, or are you thinking that he had a really tough run at Bournemouth and now he might suffer a little bit with Bruges?
I think it's a good move for him professionally. The Premier League's obviously very competitive, and if you're not spending money, you're probably going to go down. Where Club Brugge is always typically in the top two in that division, top three. They have a lot of young guys, like we said in previous podcasts, sort of like to turn those guys out, sell them for fees. I think he'll be a great coach there. Now, as far as Champions League success, who knows? But it'd sort of be fun to see this weird story take place in, when does it start? February? Champions League comes back?
February. I think it's Valentine's Day weekend.
Okay. Ooh, getting
Quite
crazy.
romantic.
Very sexy. That's it, though, from the confirmed transfers. I'll pass it on to Steve for some rumors.
Ooh, rumor boys over here. Also, shout out Scar Parker managing Fulham before he was fired from that job to go manage Bournemouth. So he's been on a roller coaster. So we're gonna get into some rumors here, and I want to start off with someone that we're still gonna put it in here because was rumored so much after the World Cup, and I'm gonna start with Enzo Fernandez, Argentinian national team player, rumored to go. I think Chelsea were the main club in talks with him. And this was hot. He was the main guy I was seeing in all of these rumored transfer headlines and whatnot. But he kind of puts a stop to all of this after he scores a goal over this past weekend. And I don't know how you can make your intent clearer than scoring a goal. It was an amazing goal, too. And then kissing your badge, pointing your badge, banging your chest, and saying, like, I'm here. Manager after the game comes out and says he's off the market. So really a rumor coming to a close, but a highly rumored player, especially after the World Cup. A lot of these Argentinians are out in the news like that today. Also, Fabrizio Romano commenting on this guy, Memphis Depay, on a loan move, potentially is the word, and uses confident that they can get the deal done for the Flying Dutchman, the most overused term for any Dutch international player. They hate it. There's actually a big long thing about how much they hate this term. But yes, Memphis Depay to replace João Felix, who has recently departed, which we covered. This is a very interesting move. I want to stop here a little bit. Memphis Depay seems like the only bright spot for Barcelona last year. 18 goals. And all of a sudden, he's on the bench. Rumored to go to Atletico Madrid. Is this a question that I have for y'all? Barcelona sits atop in La Liga on 41 points. Atletico Madrid, 27 points in fifth. Is this Barcelona saying, hey, listen, we're in first place right now. We're not even using this Memphis Depay guy. You know, maybe he needs to go out on loan and help out our rival. Like, it's so interesting when deals get done. We were talking about the Griezmann thing. When deals get done between the top competing clubs for these domestic leagues, it's so interesting to me. But yeah, what's y'all's guys' thoughts on this on this potential rumor of a loan into Atletico Madrid? Does he make Atletico Madrid better, same player profile of João Felix? Like, what are we feeling here? It's a weird move for me.
He's such a polarizing figure, Memphis Depay. I feel like the past 5 years he's been on the top of the world and he's been at the bottom. And as far as transfer between Atletico and Barcelona, I feel like they're probably thinking as long as it's not Real, we can be business partners. As long as they don't finish above either of us, then why not try and knock them down the pecking order in one way or another? So they've done business, like you just said, between Griezmann. I think there's a couple of guys historically that have played for both Atletico and Barca. Obviously, it'd be pretty notorious if someone played for Real Madrid and Barcelona. But yeah, I think, Atletico have been falling short. Obviously, with João Felix, he's not fitting Simeone's system as much as people would want him to. So he's getting a chance to go develop a little bit with Chelsea. Memphis Depay, why not? you're not playing with Robert Lewandowski in front of you. So getting new opportunities still in Spain where you've proven that you can play, yeah, I think it's a good fit.
Yeah, I've never been too high on Memphis Depay, to be completely honest. I think this is more of a tactical move by Barcelona. Get him off the books. Hopefully, Atletico will pay his full wage. Get him out, get him playing, and then this summer you sell him on for a fee just to keep Barcelona alive because they are going to fail. So they need the money. So this is, I think,
Grunk.
yeah, this is more of like a chess move for Barcelona, I want to say, rather than let's help Atletico Madrid out.
All right. Yeah, it's interesting to see if this move actually gets done because love him, hate him, high profile player, high performance at this past World Cup. And US fans don't want to see that guy again.
You had to remind us.
Yeah. Moving on to something that is interesting to me, being the FIFA connoisseur that I am, talking about the soccer game, of course. You look up Wonder Kids in the game right now. Probably the top person on the list is Borussia Dortmund's. I'm gonna butcher this, unless one of y'all know how to pronounce it. Borussia Dortmund's 18-year-old Yusufa Mokoko.
Sounds great.
Cool. Yes, 18-year-old striker, German international, made his World Cup debut at 18 years old, which is absolutely insane. His contract is set to expire at the end of this season with Borussia Dortmund, a deal not getting done, and rumor has it that he don't want your love anymore. No, that Newcastle United is rumored with a wage structure of £150,000 a week.
Jeez.
If you're ever wondering when the Saudi money was going to come into play, here's a perfect example of it. £150,000 a week for an 18-year-old striker. Again, it's just a rumor. I just heard it. I heard it from one of my little birdies that talk to me often. So take it or leave it. Is this something? Is this nothing? Is it everything? I don't know. Big signing it would be for Newcastle. Yeah. Is it? What do we think about this move, guys? Do you think there's any substance to it? Do we think it's a classic transfer rumor, but the contract is expiring? Newcastle need a striker. It seems like a Stephen Curl FIFA move. What could go wrong?
I was gonna say, I think wages are always inflated if it's a free transfer, so it doesn't necessarily surprise me that it would be that much a week. Maybe it does. It is a lot, but they're getting him for free. He's one of the best young strikers in the world. It's one way to take a punt. Like you said, you have all this money. You have Isak, who's been hurt, but will be coming back. I mean, if remind me of the coach at Newcastle, Eddie Howe. God, my mind sometimes. Eddie Howe. If this is a guy that they've highlighted as the next guy for them who can work in their system, across the front three or wherever it may be, mold him into this amazing striker. Again, Newcastle is going to be playing in the Champions League. They are going to need to bolster their roster, and this is one easy way to do it. I think it's a good transfer.
Yeah, you said it best. That's what they're doing. They're looking in the future, young guy. I mean, it's not going to affect them one way or another for the wages. So, yeah, why not? Doesn't hurt them the least bit. And you got Isaac coming back healthy, and especially when we look forward to next season, they'll be in a good spot with a signing just like this. But good work, Steve.
Yeah, and I got one more question for you. Then I might toss it over to my man Brandon if he wants to cover any rumors of his own. If not, then we could just move on. This is a player that is rumored to everybody and their mother. Weston McKennie. I'm not even going to begin to list teams that are quote-unquote interested or in on this U.S. international player. Seems like as soon as he stepped on the field for Juve and had a couple good games that he's been rumored to leave. My question is, does he leave in January? Not to who, not to what league, but does he leave? Yes or no? What do we think? Cole?
I think at this point, no. There's nothing really going on enough that makes me think he's going to go. I think Juve are just in a weird place as a club where they just need him to stick around.
Yeah. I know he's been linked with Aston Villa. I think he's always linked with Aston Villa every single window. I think Tottenham the same.
Same for Tottenham,
But
yes.
I just want to say no because it hasn't happened, but it's going to eventually happen, right? It has to happen. So why not? Why not January? Yes, he'll leave to go
Ooh.
somewhere.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump
Actually,
on board.
no, I don't know.
I'll say yes. I'll say yes. This is a guy that came from Schalke on a loan with an option for a buy. Just to remind you about his little humble beginnings at Juve. So he's cost Juventus nothing, which is just kind of hilarious. So it's going to be a profit either way. My point being, so maybe they want to get a new player in. It's not like they have to hold on to this player to get his value up. They've already going to get way more than they paid for this player. So strictly on a number standpoint, that's where they stand. Brandon, do you have any other rumors that you want to cover, or we want to go straight into recapping the FA Cup?
Let's get into the recap of the FA Cup.
Love it.
Perfect. Well, the FA Cup was this weekend. We highlighted two of the bigger games. The first one being a rematch of the same week between Man City and Chelsea. Man City had the advantage in the first game, winning 1-0 of what became practically a U23 team for Chelsea. Some injuries to Raheem Sterling and Christian Pulisic in that one left them shorthanded. But the weekend came, and we had some predictions in this one. Steven, you had Chelsea winning 3-1. Bold. Brandon, you had 2-1, and I had 2-0 in favor of City. This one ended 4-0 in favor of City. Chelsea cannot catch a break, it seems, and it just seems like it's all piling on them at once. But as we just mentioned, there might be this slim glimmer of hope of a young, fit star from Spain coming from Atletico Madrid, João Felix. Is he going to make any difference in where Chelsea's going to finish this season? Is he going to be the savior of their season, Brandon?
No, definitely not. I mean, I think it would be stopgap for now, but he's not that caliber of player yet. And I don't know if he will be. I just don't think he's good. He's a great player, but not like drag you out of the mud type of player. No.
Steve?
Yeah, I think he might make a difference in some jersey sales. Maybe he might score really cool goals here and there, but in where they actually finish, this problem, like we've already kind of alluded to the whole podcast with Chelsea, is much deeper. I don't think that they are impacted where they finish because of João Felix.
Yeah, it's looking rough for Graham Potter. He's had since September, October. I mean, he's had a couple of months to settle in. But it's just hard. Injuries are never something you can predict. They're just so random. Christian Pulisic and Sterling going down the same game is hugely detrimental. I'm sort of on the train. I said this last podcast, the one before, just you got to give these managers time. You have to give them the opportunity to actually build their system. I mean, Bali's just trying to throw money at them, be like, hey, all right, fine, we'll just see if we can fix it with this real quick. But I do think these managers need minimum 2 years at a club. That's just my opinion. The reality of some clubs is you might have 3 months, you might get 6 months. Chelsea's notorious for giving you 3 months. So for me, I definitely give him more time. Steven, are you on that same train as well? Or is it time to get Potter out with the result like 4-0 against Man City?
Here's the thing. If they lose against Palace over at the weekend, Palace could go over Chelsea. And I think there's a line and there's a difference of giving managers time, but there's an expectation which comes with managing Chelsea that Graham Potter knew when he took this job of maybe not necessarily being a top 4, but to be 10th and not looking good, not 10th on the upswing. It's only been the downswing since Potter's been there. So I think that's when giving the manager time runs out. 4-0, terrible look. We talked about Lampard last episode. I'm talking about Potter. I think this man will be sacked by the end of the year, especially if they start losing. I mean, they've already been eliminated from the Carabao Cup, FA Cup, and they're in 10th place right now at the Premier League, and you just don't see it getting any better. There's no identity. There's nothing. So sorry, but I think Potter's going to be out. Who knows? Maybe by February. I don't know. And we could see 3 different managers at Chelsea this in one season, which would be hilarious.
Brandon, are you giving him more time as an American owner?
Definitely. I don't think you fire Tuchel to bring in an up-and-coming manager in Potter and then just sack him after 3 months. I want to remind everybody as well that Potter won the first, I want to say 6 games, unbeaten in 7 or something like that, I think the statistic was. And then injury bug hits them. They start losing games. They look really inconsistent. And also they're still in the Champions League, so they could still win a trophy this year. They're a really good bad team, as you put it, Steve, in our last episode. They can definitely turn it around. 10th doesn't look great, but you have to give them time. Look at the case that they're in right now. All those injuries. They're still spending money. Hopefully these are Potter players that he can work into his tactically flexible system. Like we've mentioned. He's a great coach. You have to give him time to build. And I think Todd Bowley will. I think he will.
He burned me on my prediction, so I'm Potter out. I had my allegiance. I put my faith in them last week, and they made me look like a fool here tonight. So I'm done. I'm done with Chelsea.
Your ego is so fragile, my friend. Well, beyond what Steven thinks about Chelsea and Man City, Man United on the other side of Manchester played Everton. And this one we had Steven, you had Man U winning this 1-2-0. Brandon 3-0 in favor of the Red Devils, and I had 2-1 to Man United. This one ended 3-1. I was minutes, even seconds away from getting this one right. And then freaking Everton give a penalty away in the 93rd or 94th minute to give a free goal to Man U. I'm so upset at this one. But Man United's in great form. Ten Hag, after that slightly bumpy start, has the boys flying. Marcus Rashford is scoring goals after goal. I think he scored in 6 straight games. The kid is on fire. Is Ten Hag the one to praise for the form of Marcus Rashford and Anthony? And do they even really need to worry about people like Martial getting in on the play? Brandon, I'll begin with you. How do you feel about the boys right now at Man United?
They look great. They look like they should. I mean, they're a good team. They spent a lot of money on this team. It's coming to fruition right now. It's a long season, but I think Ten Hag has them playing the best football that they've played in a long time, like years. So, very exciting time for Manchester United. As far as Martial and Rashford, and I know we talked about last week, like a backup coming in. We didn't get to this in the rumors, but Wout Weghorst from Burnley is supposed to be getting loaned in probably this week. He's currently on loan at Besiktas, so there has to be some talk with Besiktas. Can we get him back so we can loan him out to Manchester United? That's, first of all, weird. Man U, Burnley, and Besiktas having a deal. That is weird. But hopefully it works out for them. So they will be bringing in a striker unless it just falls through. But this Man U team, very, very fun.
Steve?
Yeah, the Anthony's been the one that's kind of struck me. Obviously Rashford is the obvious answer. But Anthony scoring, I think in his last 3 games, scored today against Charlton Athletic, a very great goal in the Carabao Cup. Yeah, they look good. They look good. And Martial playing his part too, whether he's scoring goals or not. But he looks threatening, like had a chance today. Didn't put it away, but I think what matters is working well with Anthony on your right, Rashford on your left, giving this guy these freedoms, getting out of the way. That's the whole point of getting rid of Ronaldo, right? So, really just giving Rashford the freedom to play has been so cool to see him. Seems like a new signing for Manchester United and seeing Rashford. So, yeah, they look very good. All praise to Ten Hag, and being ruthless and being firm in his stance. That's great. I'm sure United fans are loving it right now too.
They certainly are loving it. Those two teams from Manchester are not too far away from actually playing each other. We'll get to that in a second, as we have now reached the midway point of the Premier League season, game week 20, and Brandon, Aston Villa are taking on Leeds, your club, versus a Leeds team which is exactly what we expected. But what's the matchup looking like between these two clubs? What do they look like recently?
Yeah, Aston Villa just lost in the FA Cup to Stevenage. Really, really embarrassing loss. To be fair, our team was full of backups. But should it be losing to Stevenage ever when you have the likes of Coutinho on the field, Morgan Sanson? Yeah, just not great overall. But oh well, it's a cup. I'd like to win a trophy. I think we all would in this little room here. But that'll have to wait for Villa at least. But yeah, this matchup has sort of been like a rivalry in the past couple years, sort of like these sleeping giants that were in the championship for a while. If you remember, both Villa and Leeds were fighting for promotion in that game where a Villa player goes down injured, Leeds fake play the ball out of bounds, go down and score. And Bielsa tells the Leeds players to get out of the way on the kickoff, and Villa go down and score a goal because Bielsa let them. First of all, that top 5 weirdest things I've ever seen in football. But ever since then, it's sort of been this like rivalry in a way. I don't know. It's weird. Very exciting games, typically. The last matchup, however, was a 0-0 draw. Wah, boring. The ones before that were 3-0 Villa, 3-3 draw, 1-0 Villa, 3-0 Leeds. So it's sort of been all over the place. I don't really have any predictions for this, but I'll leave you with this. A fun fact, of course. You'll always get a fun fact from me. In this matchup, since both of them were back in the Prim, the home team has never won. Guess who's home this week? Aston Villa. I hope they can change that. Unai Emery, we're going to the moon, baby.
I like your optimism.
I love it.
Good luck in that matchup. Brighton, they're actually playing Liverpool this week, and since 2017, Liverpool have dominated the series with 7 wins, 2 draws, and 1 loss in the matchup. The last 4 were in favor of Liverpool. They had a 2-0 win, a 2-2 draw, 1-0 win, and Brighton had the 1-0, and then a 1-1 draw. 1 point only separates the 2 clubs right now. And that's a bit of a crazy thought when you consider where Liverpool have been the past couple of seasons. But this one's going to end up with a lot of ramifications, I think, going down the road. And I'll ask this question in a second because Newcastle and Fulham, obviously Newcastle, top 3 teams in the Premier League right now. Pretty insane. The last 4 matchups go 2-0 Newcastle, 1-1, 4-0 Newcastle, and a 0-0 draw. Both teams obviously have been surprising for so many different reasons. Newcastle being in the top 4, but also Fulham coming up from the championship, scoring lots of goals, like Mitrovic getting already over 10 goals. So Marco Silva, the Fulham manager, he has it out. He's got a lot to do to even get a result against Newcastle. When you look at what they've done defensively this season, they've had more clean sheets, I think, than anyone else in the Premier League, Newcastle. So a lot of uphill climbing to do. But my question from a second I want to ask now is, so between Liverpool, Fulham, and Brighton, I want to know, of these 3 teams currently, who is the most likely to get a European spot? Steven, I want to ask you this directly. Who do you think will get it out of those 3 teams?
That's such a weird question. Fulham, Brighton, and Liverpool. I still can't get over where the table is right now. I mean, you got to say Liverpool. This Cody Gakpo signing, Liverpool fans are hoping it is jumper cables straight to that locker room. But they just don't look good right now. I gotta say Liverpool, but no, I'll go Brighton. I'm gonna go Brighton.
Oh.
I'm gonna go Brighton. I think the right answer is Liverpool, but going out on a limb, the craziness of the season, and just there's no other reason to not think it's Brighton, honestly. They've given me every bit of confidence to believe in them, so yeah, I'll go Brighton. Wow, that was tough. Whew.
The obvious answer is Liverpool, and the correct answer is Liverpool. Liverpool sits 6th in the table, then it's Fulham in 7th, then it's Brighton in 8th. I'm assuming that's why you asked the question. Very good question. It's definitely Liverpool. They've sort of hit a stride, but they're still inconsistent. Like, every game, you just don't know what you're going to get. At least Brighton plays consistently, but they still lose games. Liverpool just has this thing about them where they know how to get results and can win 1-0. They can win ugly. They can do it all. My answer is Liverpool.
Fair enough. I respect both of your answers, and I won't think of either of you less than anything that came in before this. Well, the two biggest matchups of the weekend arguably are two massive derbies. We teased this in the intro. We have the Manchester Derby and the North London Derby. We'll start with the one in Manchester, Man United versus Man City. The last one in favor of Man City, 4-1. And they have been a pretty good series. Since 2016, Man City has 8 wins over Man U's 6 wins, and then only 2 draws since 2016. Famously, Man City has had a 6-1 in the past. If you remember all the way back in 2011, I'm sure Man City fans probably rub that into Man U blood and make it very, very irritating. But yeah, fun fact, there's only been 4 draws since 2010. So someone's probably going to win. That's just what's going to happen mathematically. But these guys are level on points right now. Man City do have a game in hand, but I mean, it's so close. We talked about how Ten Hag has really brought this Man U club up from what they had expectations on the beginning of the season. They're really in contention this year for top 4. So I think the question being, is the winner of this game or the result of this game a sign of who will finish above the other at the end of this season? Man City or Man U, Brandon?
No, but I think there's a lot of pressure in this game on Manchester City. Arsenal don't look like slowing down. I know we're going to talk about them in a second, but they have to win these games. Manchester City has to keep winning. They need to get that train going and then just win out basically the rest of the year like they seem to do every year. I think Man City will stay above. I think Man City will probably win this game, but yeah, it's such an interesting matchup. I didn't even realize they were tied on points.
Steve?
Yeah, just looking at Man City's past few league matchups, they beat Chelsea only 1-0. They tie Everton, beat Leeds 3-1. They looked comfortable in that game, to be fair. Lose to Brentford. There's just some inconsistency there. They beat Fulham 2-1 and get a red card. It's all their games have been close. It's not the 7-0, 4-0 Man City that we have been seeing. We've been seeing a lot of Haaland goals. But I still, and this is a well-oiled machine, but to credit to Manchester United, I feel like this game, in seasons past and matchups past, Man United doesn't need to be at the top of the table to take down City. I feel like they always play up to City, minus that 4-1 defeat. That was really rough. It's going to be a great game. United's in great form, and so is Manchester City. In no way, shape, or form am I going to say that, City doesn't look good and they're on the ropes. But there's a lot of pressure, and they are tied on points. So there's current realities that these players probably are feeling. And to United, it's one of those games that's, what is there to lose? If you're Ten Hag, you're going for it the entire game. The fan base is all behind you. And is the game at United or is it at City?
Yeah, I believe it is at United. Also, Not to fact check all of us, but Man City is on 39. Man United is on 35. Man United is tied with Newcastle, unless what I'm looking at is wrong. But anyway, they're really close. Yeah. So, needless to say.
No, they're not tied on points. But
my mistake.
But still, yeah, it's going to be a great game. United, I think, playing at home, having the mentality of nothing to lose, really. You're always throw Rashford up there, throw Antony. They're going to be going for it as opposed to City. Again, a lot of these most recent results, they're not super, commanding, even though as well as they might have commanded the game. You can easily see Rashford undoing somebody and just breaking into space, or Antony, or maybe Martial. No, probably not. But maybe Martial gets on the score sheet too. I got United in this one. I just feel confident in Ten Hag right now. I think it's all gelling and working together right now. Benching Harry Maguire, getting rid of Ronaldo. The star power isn't there right now, and it's a team. It's a cohesive unit, and it looks good and convincing.
Steve, you're just knocking it out of the park. I think you're right. I think, just let Marcus Rashford continue to do what he's doing. Let him tear up that Man City defense. And, I have advantage Man U in this one, which makes me scared of Tottenham fans because we got Man City coming up. I don't want them to be angry against us. But, I think Man U has it going for them right now. Their confidence is sky high. And, I feel pretty good about what they can do against a Man City team that hasn't been like Man City of old necessarily this season. So they seem vulnerable.
Do you think that this game is a sign of who will finish above one another
Oh,
in
yeah.
the season table, though? Like quickly,
No.
yes or no?
No,
Okay.
I do not think so. No.
Yeah, I don't think
I
so.
think
Either.
I think it could. It just I think for me, yes. I think just Man U, this could be a building block point for them if they win, and if Man City again, the same thing with them. They've done this before. They're professionals. They're champions. I think the winner of this game has a lot of momentum coming out of it. So I'll say yes to my own question.
There you go.
Maybe
Moving on
that's
to
the wrong answer.
to your own game now.
Yeah, we have Tottenham and Arsenal. And going back to 2014, there's been 6 draws out of 18 games. And what's crazy to me is I look back and all the way back to the results from 2010. Arsenal haven't lost at home since 2010 to Tottenham, and Tottenham haven't lost at home to Arsenal since 2014 in a Premier League match. So the home team typically has the advantage, but I know Steven is shaking in his boots right now, having the number 1 Arsenal team in the land come to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and a team that's looked a little shaky in the back, Steve. So do Arsenal break this home team trend finally in 2023?
A little shaky? Yes. Arsenal, I'm pretty confident, will beat Tottenham pretty handily. Yeah, Tottenham's been on the skid a little bit. Have not been convincing to me. I feel like I've been saying this since the very first few weeks of the season. I've been one of the biggest proponent, not that y'all have been against Arsenal, but biggest proponent for Arsenal since the beginning of the season. I've always said, I feel like the first 6 episodes of the season, I was like, this team's really good. They're gonna score goals. Arsenal's attack against Tottenham's defense just doesn't bode well. At one point in the season, we're talking about how great Tottenham's defense is. It hasn't looked that way of recent. I hope we win. I hope Eric Dyer doesn't pass backwards to Martinelli on a goal. I hope Hugo Lloris can stop a shot that's 30 miles per hour at his chest. These are all things that I hope happen. Will they happen is the question. And then you have to factor in, will Tottenham score a goal that doesn't come from a Harry Kane assist or a pass right before or a long ball or Harry Kane goal? And I'm just not too confident on that. So, yeah, I'm going Debbie Downers on this one for Spurs. And I'm sure the good angel over here next to me will say something else.
Yeah, I got the shirt on today. Come on. I was rewatching the highlights and reminiscing on that last game, which was just so unfortunate in so many ways for Tottenham because you had a Hugo Lloris era. You had a red card from Emerson, which, again, was pretty harsh. Dumb foul, harsh red card. Just a horrible, horrible game for Tottenham. The one that they'll definitely want to forget and move on from all the way back in October. But now it's redemption time. You're at your home stadium. You have come out of this World Cup break. You look a little shaky, but you had a really, really good result against Palace. So let's come out of it. Let's get the big win. I'm thinking a 3-2 high-scoring affair in favor of Tottenham, which doesn't bode well for your defense, obviously, but you got to hope that Sonny can turn it on, that Harry Kane can turn it on, that Kulusevski's probably going to have to come on the bench on this one. And we know that he can be that spark to change the Tottenham team, and that's what I'm hoping for. We really are desperate right now because now we've fallen behind Manchester United for that 4th spot. So, if they lose to Man City, that's a big opportunity for you to get points, advance not only on Man U in the 4th spot, but even Arsenal, who are first in the league right now, you can knock them down a little bit. So, I'm hoping a big result for Tottenham, but Brandon, you're the neutral guy here. Are you sticking with Arsenal? You think that they can continue their run at number 1, or does Tottenham have a chance to knock them off a little bit?
I don't say everything, but most things say that Arsenal's going to win this game. But big players come alive in big games. We've been waiting for Young Min's Son to turn it on this year. Halfway through the year, this could be it. This could be the game that wakes him up, gets him out of his weird funk that he's in. And Harry Kane, Heung-min Son. That's all they've needed for the past, 4 years? It's all they'll need for eternity, I feel like, to get results. It's them two, and they can carry Tottenham to a victory. I do think it is possible. Pretty unlikely, though, I will say. But that's where the hope lies for any Spurs fans. If you're Arsenal, you're very, very confident going into this game. And I'm sure those away fans are going to be real up for it. It's going to be loud in there.
Yeah,
It is going to be loud.
and real quick, at risk of sounding like every argument that's against Spurs fans and the poking fun and all that stuff, I think the difference, especially going in, is league position right now. Arsenal is going for a title. They're going for a trophy. The big thing with Spurs, no trophies, right? We struggle to win competitions. We're out of the Carabao and FA, and
Still in
still in FA. Yeah, we actually just drew. Yeah, but we just got eliminated from Carabao Cup. We're probably not going to win FA Cup. That's probably our best bet to win a trophy. But the point being is Arsenal's riding high. They have so much momentum right now, and historically in the matchup, they did. I mean, we're still Arsenal's little brother in a lot of sense of the terms of trophies, success, league success, and they're just rolling right now. And they're seeking that revenge from the Spurs finishing above Arsenal in the past 4 or 5 seasons. So they just have all of this pent up momentum on their side, and just, y'all aren't going to touch us, I feel like is the attitude of the Arsenal players going into this game. But anyways, I just got to vent. My therapist called out this week, so this is just really good for me. So I think we're good now. I think I'm okay.
Hey, that's okay. Sometimes our therapists are not the best people ever. You can't always rely on them. That's what we're here for as friends. That's what we're here for. Well, we're going to close things out with our final segment. You betcha. Putting our money where our mouth is. And again, this goes without saying, we're amateur bettors. We're really just doing this for fun. So there's no way is this betting advice to what we say. We're going to give some locks, some games that we believe you can nail it in. This is what we're going to stand firm in. Steven, your first lock of the weekend, a game that you think you could make some good money off of, buddy.
Oh, yes. I think I put around 50 G's on Manchester United against Manchester City. Yes, those odds, Manchester United is plus 330 on the money line. So one of the biggest kind of payouts of the week, of this match week in the Premier League. Like we said earlier, there's usually a winner and a loser. Probably not a draw. It's an even matchup. I got United. They're in good form. That's my lock in this week for me.
Brandon?
Ooh. If you were paying attention earlier when we were talking about Brighton versus Liverpool, we talked about the recent history. It's draw, result, and I do see a pattern here. I am betting a draw between these two teams. It's plus 270 for the money line. Lock it in.
Okay. For me, I am going against the grain. I am going with a Crystal Palace win at Chelsea. Listen, Chelsea have not lost to Crystal Palace at Stamford Bridge since 2017. They suffered a 2-1 loss to Palace then. And the reverse fixture earlier in this year, you might remember it being Graham Potter's first game as Chelsea manager. That one ended in favor of Chelsea 2-1 at Selhurst Park. But that was a very different Chelsea team before all their injuries. Graham Potter, he still hasn't even figured it out at Chelsea. Come on. But Palace, this is a great opportunity for them. They've had a really embarrassing loss to Tottenham that they can now come back and they can beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge and make a little bit of money for this guy. That's my lock-in. That's Cole's lock-in for the week. You betcha I'm doing that. No regrets. And we'll talk about this later on to see if it was a regret. But hopefully that's a fun little segment for you guys. If you like something like this, go ahead and leave a like. Leave a comment of who your lock-in would be for the weekend. We'd love to know where your head is at looking at the match week 20 in the Premier League. But as a whole, that's going to about wrap things up for the supporter section today. Another one down for the boys. We hope you guys enjoyed the discussion. All the transfer rumors, everything like the FA Cup, and now the Premier League derbies going on in Manchester and in North London. Leave a comment, leave a like. If you made this far, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell. That way you never, ever miss a video. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at the supporter section. And I have been Cole Carter. They have been Brandon Kasnick and Stephen Curl. We hope you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy all the soccer. We'll see you guys next time. Until then, peace out.